As per the law of correspondence, patterns recur throughout the universe. Human reality is a reflection of what's going on inside a human being at present. People may call it as before, so now, as it is on the inside, so it is on the outside, etc. The scientific version of the correspondence principle says that in the range of human quantum numbers, the behavior of systems represented by quantum mechanics replicates classical physics. In other terms, it states that quantum computations must agree with classical calculations for high orbits and intense energy. However, in a divine sense, 12 universal laws, the law of correspondence emphasizes the distinct linkage between inner and outer selves. Both traits are complementary to each other. Besides, there is a third critical part to consider when acknowledging how this law operates. It is the relationship with the higher self. Most people have heard about some universal laws, such as the law of attraction and the law of cause and effect. However, there is also a significant law that governs the universe. This is the law of correspondence. People may have the least knowledge, but it's the most crucial of all the 12 universal laws. Yes, it is directly proportionate to correspondence, or communication, as people will generally guess. Still, it isn't about common communication, limiting its domain to human interactions. It is rather an internal communication within different parts of the human structure. People probably have heard the phrases, "on earth as it is in heaven," or "as above, so below." These thoughts are about the line of connection, or correspondence, that exists among the lower energies of the physical earth, and the higher energies of the divine force, heaven. Acknowledging that people on earth are more of a spiritual entity than a physical being is the key to transforming into physical reality. Every measure individuals take in the physical existence mirrors the spiritual soul that is attempting to manifest. This is the reason lessons are continually recurring in human lives until people dominate these traits. When the energy is being transferred from human minds through logical thoughts, feelings, acts, and words, it does not represent higher wisdom. This lower vibrating energy is rejected and returns to individuals to repeat the process until an exact match is found. That's why individuals may feel overwhelmed by a certain feeling or event. Instead of relying on their higher self for help, the hidden lower energies are being emitted and returned to them with the message, "Try once more." It is a continual motion that humans experience in every setting. The law of correspondence instructs all to recognize and examine a problem until it is resolved. When one's ability to navigate through a problem becomes more aligned with divine wisdom, by approaching the circumstance from an abode of peace and kindness, negative and challenging vibes will cease to exist in real time. This is the stage when significant progress can be made. So how does learning the law of correspondence alter the human experience of what happens on a physical level? Also, amid crises, how do individuals remain emotionally peaceful and stable? One can look at 3 ways to make a measured effort to align with the higher self. As a result, he may receive the universal advice when the lower physical self is confronted with challenging situations. The mirror image. One may take cognizance of the fact that there is discord in one's inner domain, and the outer world is returning it to him when he has a poor experience. In other words, the mirror image is a reflection of one's broken self, not the true self. People are being shown the adjustments that must be done, as well as the areas of their subconscious weaknesses that must be resolved. It's critical to take the time to assess why people are feeling different and how they are reacting when negative behavior is triggered. Does one correspond with one's higher self or his physical self? It is significant because when an individual connects to his divine mind, the higher part of his mental layer, he lets the mirror go of his presence. More revelations, such as self-identity, is to be projected within one's physical entity. When people take the time to replace negative inner thoughts and emotions with positive assertions, they are generally aligned with supreme inner truth. It's the juncture when one allows the genuine human spirit to manifest the physical affirmations. The opposing force. Once people have identified the lower frequencies in the environment, they can use opposite energy to alter them. The energy is mirrored back to them at all times. They should remember that when they are confronted with something unpleasant, the fastest method to release that energy is to heal the subconscious and connect to the higher self. The entire reaction is in the reverse direction to compliment someone when he is criticized. One should console someone when he is hurt. He needs to encourage someone when he is feeling low. Besides, one should assure someone when he is apprehensive. Individuals are mastering the art to repair damaged parts of them at that time. People react from the perspective of their souls. Consequently, they know that there is absoluteness in every human being. The chance for damage control is generated when one feeds the desired energy and relies on decent and happy ideas. The natural flow of life. One can imagine sailing in the ocean, enjoying the movement of the waves, assured of personal safety. Each scenario seamlessly transits into the next. There's no denying the fact that everything is pleasant and favorable. To live in peace and tranquility within the law of correspondence is to live together in absolute harmony. Once people are thrown around in rough seas, their gut feeling leads them to fathom the outer world that needs some fine-tuning from the inner world. The only real change that can emerge is from within, after which it will manifest itself on the outer layer. Only the movement in the higher mind can bring true change to the lower mind stranded below. Many people believe that changing the outside will open the door to a new, happier avenue. However, they will soon discover that the only permanent change happens from the inner self, which should follow the higher self's recommendations. So one needs to go with the natural flow of life, and in case of an obstruction, he may take a moment to reflect on the channel of correspondence between the divine self and the physical self that has been detached. One will most likely notice the disparity right away, and be better prepared to align with the next divine sermon. It is becoming increasingly vital for everyone to take responsibility for self-progress to create a heaven on earth. Law of Correspondence, a simplified view. The exterior world reflects the inner self. The life experience is only a mirror of human attitude. It indicates that if people want to be happy, they must mirror it within themselves. A cheerful attitude, for instance, will help them perform better in any segment of their life. The outer environment reflects people's inner world and correlates to the prevailing thought patterns. It is a remarkable concept. It explains most of life's pleasure and misery, victory and defeat, greatness and meanness. After years of research, scholars are still in awe of this solid universal law. One may consider it in every sense. The exterior world reflects the interior world. Nothing can happen in the long run unless this divine power is connected to something within oneself. The individuals must first transform the inner compartments of their thought process if they wish to improve anything in their life. But until then, the most important challenge is just to be honest and acknowledge the self-ability to cause change on the inside and the outside. The human exterior world should reflect the inner world. This is the gist of the law of correspondence. When viewed in this perspective, the law of correspondence might be compared to a mirror that reflects one's life compared to others. With so many individuals going at it with backward movement, matching the inner and exterior can be a bit of a charade. Cosmetic surgeons have their hands engaged, trying to make physical changes on people who don't have anything to transform but their inner image. A mirror is an ideal reflection of the law of correspondence. It demonstrates that if the exterior world is peaceful and pleasant, the interior world follows suit. One must be going through a torrid time if the outside is in disorder and immersed in money problems, disease, and turmoil. When people are going through a very troubled time, it's sometimes difficult to tell what to do next. When individuals are disoriented and suffering from negativity, life might be perplexing. What makes it even worse is that they start to feel helpless when things are out of hand. It's a life cycle, after all, which is full of ups and downs. It is like a self-sustaining treadmill. It is a loop that continues to do self-feeding until someone intervenes. It's essential to remember that changing the outside world usually requires first fixing the inner world. Inside of any individual is a space where it all begins. It's literally from the inside out, and not from the outside in. The law of correspondence is one of the universal laws that govern everything. The universal laws are the governing principles of the universal consciousness, which everyone is aware of. It is an everlasting pattern that no one can deny. All are subject to the patterns of universal consciousness, which require that everything is integrated into the same postulates. These fundamentals apply to everything in the universe. It's crucial to remember that improving the inner environment will augment the outer surroundings. It might come out as cliché, but it's true. The connection between this inner and outward dilemma begins on the inside and finds its way out. The nice thing about this law is that all people have to do is modify the thought process, or the way they have been deliberating about their life retrospectively. It has everything to do with their current status. One can do certain things immediately to help shift the current situation into one that better suits him. One should take an objective look at the current scenario using the inner eye. He should include things like relationships, wellness, wealth, and career. One should be hardcore practical and raise the difficult questions for self-evaluation. How are the inner thoughts, emotions, sensations, and belief structures mirrored in the world performing around him? It is not a pointless activity. The inquiry is intended to help one obtain a true understanding of self. It's pointless for someone else to pass judgment on somebody's life when the person in question is completing this activity. He is the only one who is experiencing it. One should be the type of person who has to be absolutely honest and realistic with him. He needs to take responsibility for his existing situation once he has reached an objective understanding of it. It is his life, and it is up now to him to stop rationalizing and take total responsibility for it. Yes, it is difficult. However, by accepting responsibility for where things are standing in one's life, one will drastically alter the prevailing situation. From this vantage point, one may use the law of attraction to help him achieve a better match between his inner and outer worlds. He might have regained control of his life by accepting accountability for his inner self. There are no longer excuses to make to him or others. It's not even necessary to justify. It is now buried in the past and out of sight. Now is the time. It is neither the past nor the future. People might begin their new life journey by thanking themselves for removing a significant burden off their shoulders and feeling lighter to a great extent. It is a fantastic way to start when letting the law of correspondence help people improve their image. It is a highly poetic way of expressing the truth that the law of correspondence and the occurrences of various realms of existence are interwoven. The law of correspondence is distinct not just for the sake of magic or miracle, but for unraveling life's mysteries in general. Human surroundings reflect what is going on inside of every person. Of course, the reverse is also true. What's going on inside of people reflects what's happening outside of them. The current plight or circumstances are directly proportional to the results of the most prevalent human surmise. In this regard, one must study the three great planes of existence to comprehend the law of correspondence. The elements of physical, mental, and spiritual stages refer to the three great planes. If one has ever read mystical literature, he has most likely run into the term plane, which is quite self-explanatory. A dimension is the best method to characterize a plane in this context. The fourth dimension is based on vibration and is also known as the vibrational dimension. It is the criterion by which these various planes of existence are measured. Everything, according to modern science, is in constant motion. Nothing ever completely comes to a halt. Everything in the universe is vibrating at all times. Since human eyes cannot detect such low-level vibrations, the impression of objects that are not moving is only an illusion. Everything is vibrating at all times. The higher the plane, the greater the vibration rate, and the most substantial is the manifestation of animate things on that plane. The three great planes are not actual cosmological divisions. Occultists describe these levels to support the study of the different degrees of life, movement, and presence. Things are significantly more complicated in practice. Each of the three great planes can be further divided into 7 smaller planes. Besides, each minor plane again can be fragmented into 7 subplanes. However, going thus far isn't necessary to have the full understanding of the law of correspondence. There are no strong lines between these minor and subplanes, since they spill over one another. The arcane principle, "from one, know all," is also reflected here. The importance of getting the unseen is to truly appreciate the patterns and laws of the known. After all, these occult laws apply to all planes of life. Law of Correspondence, a demonic magic. Every physical event has an impact on the individual mental composition and vibrational frequency. External conditions comparable to the same vibratory rate are attracted to this electromagnetic energy. Simply put, occurrences in human life that provide a similar level of pleasure will tend to attract similar results in the future. Likewise, painful experiences cause people to vibrate at a lower frequency, contributing to more unpleasant sensations. It's simple to understand how getting captivated in this never-ending cycle of negativity might set off a cascade of several unpleasant events. One can fine-tune his demonic magic for better outcomes if he has a thorough understanding of this technique. He wants to thrive in a job as a professional illustrator or graphic designer. However, despite employing magic, he can't really make it happen. He has been taking appropriate action and doing everything right, but still he can't seem to get the coveted breakthrough he needs to iron things out. Thus, he would agree that it is a typical pattern for most people pursuing their objectives. People frequently fail not due to a shortage of honest endeavor or talent, but rather because the real obstacle to achievement is higher than physical attempts. The issue does not crop up on the physical level in any case. People must examine their mental state. The designer or illustrator has likely started his venture with uncertainty, mistrust, and pessimism. If not from the outset, then very shortly after that. When attempting to do something, the bulk of individuals fall prey to this trap. Uncertainty, lack of self-conviction, and not being committed to the desired reality are the slices of trap that one can hardly avoid. While this is inevitable, success necessitates fine-tuning the vibratory rate to attain the desired result. People must transform the lead into gold, just like the alchemist. Lead's properties are not restricted to physical matter only. It also has significant mental resources. Lead is related to monetary loss, frustrations, delays, problems, and constraints. One may try to create the appropriate chain of events through sheer efforts to make that reality a real truth. Lead does have the poorest vibratory rate of all metals. It is not only on the physical plane, but also on the mental level, as one may have presumed. So, aside from trying to drive people into a vibratory level of success before it manifests in the physical world, what else can be done? The solution is to develop strategic execution of magic to bring success to the doorstep virtually. One needs to look at what it takes to be a good graphic designer from the inside out. One must realize that he should carry enough conviction to get things to fall in the proper place. He needs to allow things to move out of the way first. The graphic designer might ask the demon prodigy, the universal power, to help him overcome his fears and doubts, giving him the motivation and positive energy he needs to face the challenges looming large. Next, this person must ensure that his work is good enough to be viable, if not outperform all other competitors surrounding him. For this, he can ask the developer to improve his professional acumen so that the graphic designer can learn his craft more swiftly. So, the person in question is now equipped with fresh confidence and the ability to counter all adversities after skillfully employing demonic magic, the Law of Correspondence. The graphic designer is more excited to grab his first client, and now has a strong belief that his graphic design skills have improved dramatically. It can be attributed to the high vibrational frequency that promotes success. He'll see that the preset goal he's aiming for is now considerably closer and easier to obtain. It's time to recommend people to support him in attaining his objectives. People with empathy can work with him to ensure that the designer reaches dizzy heights post-productive discussions. Finally, once the designer has completed a few successful paid assignments and gained some real-world experience, he may begin collaborating with other stakeholders to plan bigger things and turn these activities into a large-scale business. This time, the correct groundwork has been laid to allow the magic to flow with ease. One may reverse the engineered strategy of the entire process instead of casting a spell to generate a successful business. After that, he can selectively use magic to place the necessary building blocks in place to make it happen with utter jubilation. By now, one may probably start to get a sense of how magic works and relates to the Law of Correspondence. The description has begun by using demonic magic to handle the problems on the spiritual level. This activity may influence things on the mental plane, raising abstract vibration to the point where one could finally visualize a route to success. The mentioned magic illustration is the rekindling of human desire for success on the spiritual level. Consequent upon divine shifts on the higher dimensions, real physical actions will begin to move on the physical world. This higher vibration is enhanced as success is manifested on the physical level. Prosperity begins to flow once all three planes are in sync. In short, the external environment has shifted to align with the internal plane. That is how magicians work, and due to this, the phrase, "as above, so below," comes to the surface. People may not always have complete control over their surroundings. However, they do always have power over their inner thoughts. Changing mental patterns can assist them in achieving their goals in life. They may mold their lives to their likings if they focus on what they actually desire and can eliminate all unwanted thoughts. By objectively examining the prevalent reality, taking the onus of events in their life without blaming others, and picturing the things they desire, one can make the most of the Law of Correspondence. Mastering the Law of Correspondence is the first step in regaining control of lives and positively impacting the current scenario. Law of Correspondence. Applications. There already exists an unknown law of creation that may be used to materialize human wants. In the metaphysical world, this universal concept is known as the Law of Correspondence. The Law of Correspondence is one of the ancient Hermetic principles revealed to humanity by Hermes Trismegistus, also tagged as Thoth in Egypt. Hermes is said to be a god's messenger who bestows art, education, and wisdom. The Law of Correspondence essentially discloses the prime secret. If one launches a spontaneous impulse in any concurrently vibratory plane, He instantly ignites comparable phenomena in all the other planes. These are as before, so now. As it is on the inside, so it is on the outside. These phrases are crucial because they educate people on how to manifest the preferred world consistently. One should implant a creative impulse, such as a concentrated, energized thought, within any of the subtle planes, for example, the mental plane, and a corresponding result will be triggered in the physical reality. The holographic model of the cosmos, which is being advocated by several quantum scientists these days, may provide a solution for this enormous law. According to this extreme view of reality, every part of the universe holds the core of the divine creation. One has probably seen a laser beam display reflected on a microscopic broken-off piece of a holographic plate to reproduce the original embedded image. It is applicable in a scientific experiment concerning the nature of holograms. The law of correspondence encompasses the same principle. Information found in one part of a larger whole is present in all other segments. One should keep in mind that every creation is inherently one when intentionally going for the chosen world. It's a singularity, or endless continuum, wherein even the slightest movement in any part immediately impacts the entire endless chain. People are currently living in an interactive reality in which human actions impact other parts of the universe. As a result, people must use the law of correspondence meticulously and ethically. When composing a statement or affirmation to encapsulate human aspirations, one needs first to frame the objectives in a larger perspective. It is because whatever serves one on a personal level also improves the universe as a whole. One may consider a win-win situation that benefits all layers of reality. It enables people to achieve predefined targets with minimum effort. For example, if one has a longing for peace in life, he must also ensure peace throughout the globe. If one wants affluence for self and family, he must also visualize the abolition of poverty and malnutrition. The universe is simply a feedback loop in which multiple vibratory levels gel together to generate the real scenario that is commonly observed. Motivational use of the law of correspondence is the technique to integrate one's intentions into the self-generating energy loop or process. Therefore, one should make a conscious effort to be aware of every thought, behavior, and feeling, and then place the objectives in the larger context. People will be using the law of correspondence to implant the preferred reality within this self-generating hologram. According to the law of correspondence, the exterior environment is merely a reflection of inner reality. As within, so without. It is a remarkable principle that states that the contemporary world reflects what is happening inside of any human being. It directly affects what is going on inside people if their outward world is gloomy, disorganized, or uninspired. The earthly exterior environment will be a place of turbulence if individuals have low self-esteem, feel horrible about themselves, or are continuously filled with wrath, hatred, or disgust. The truly tragic aspect is that it becomes a self-fulfilling situation in which people feel horrible about themselves and the surroundings are unpleasant. The worse things get in the outside world, people feel the worse about themselves, which has a direct effect on the real-time status. It is necessary to modify the overall viewpoint to get off the treadmill. Nothing in human life on the outside can transform until the changes on the inside take place. Change from the inside out is the tagline of all benevolence. If individuals are not actively involved in making changes on the inside, it doesn't matter 1 ounce if there are alterations on the outside. Human reality will continue to change to mirror the inner thoughts and the world that exists. In every manner, position, and style, the exterior world reflects the inner world. If people want their outer environment to change, they must first alter their inner world, including thoughts, convictions, and dispositions. To put it another way, where individuals are now is a direct effect of how they think. If they want to alter the paradigm, they must change their thought process. Only one aspect of human life is completely under human control: the thought process. People won't make a substantial and lasting change until they remove their mental bottlenecks to focus on what they actually want. The majority of people find it hard to accept because blaming others for the problems in individual life has become customary. It's a lot easier to blame someone else for his own problems. It is simply evading responsibility. The beautiful thing is that one should control all other constituents of his life by mastering inept thinking. It is the secret to personal fulfillment, freedom, and tranquility. Also, one may begin to shape, mold, and create his life to his specifications by focusing solely on what he actually desires and removing all evil thoughts that crop up occasionally. There are 3 ideas one can start employing right now to help develop the desired life. With a testing eye, one should assess the current situation, including profession, connections, health, and financial situation. He needs to ask himself how his inner ideas and attitudes are being reflected in his outer world. One should take complete onus for everything that happens in life, positive or negative. He should immediately begin by deciding to modify his way of thinking. One must visualize the world he actually wants and concentrate his attention on transforming the adversities in his favor. Again, he needs to ask himself what modifications he will perform to reach this so-called outside world. Accordingly, he may take action today to commence the necessary changes, no matter what they are. The first step in taking control of one's life is to understand the law of correspondence. If people want to make a positive change, they can experiment with themselves, as charity begins at home. Law of Correspondence. Relationships. According to the law of correspondence, the outward environment is a manifestation of the inner reality, and it correlates to the current belief. It is a law of wisdom. It explains almost happiness and misery in full cry, the bulk of success and failure, and the overwhelming greatness and meanness in one's life. One will remain in admiration of this law if one comes to terms with it. It's awe-inspiring and stunning. It's like looking out over the expanse of the sea. In every sense, one's external world reflects his internal reality. Nothing can happen in the long run unless it is connected to something within oneself. Everything that happens in human life is prompted by what is going on inside of all humanity. The natural dispute with the neighbor, spouse, or companion, those lovely sentiments people have in each other's presence, the business success or failure, the affection people receive from the head of the family or other people are all natural responses to the individuals have inside. People must first change the inner components of their thoughts if they wish to modify or improve anything in their life. It's similar to the cycle of harvesting. What one sows, he gets back in multiples. So if people have an abundance of hatred, selfishness, greed, anxiety, lust, or other vices in their inner self, they will reap manifestations of those flaws and their connected impacts projected everywhere. That is exactly the law of correspondence. The inner state of mind is usually in sync with the external surroundings. The mental equivalent norms are also a part of the law of correspondence. The most important role in life is to create a mental image of what one wants to happen outside. The truth is that one can't do anything on the outside until he has done something on the inside. One of the indicators to the idea is that people observe outside correspondences to what they have inside their mind and soul. Others can see an individual life, and that individual mindset is the total of the actual self on the inside. Interpersonal relationships, for example, mirror the type of person one is on the inside. Human attitude, health, and financial situation all are the results of prevailing thoughts. It's difficult for most individuals to accept. They believe that other people and other causes are to blame for the issues in their decent lives. When told they are the masterminds behind everything that happens to them, people are frequently bewildered and frustrated. They have a strong desire for others to change without peeking inside their soul. People want leaders, neighbors, spouses, partners, friends, the environment, and indeed the entire world to change. They typically oppose change within themselves while seeking change in others. Almost all religions and persuasions believe in the law of correspondence as a foundational concept. It is the answer to the dilemma of personal bonding and happiness. It's the road to success and fulfillment. In reality, there is only one thing on the planet a person can control. It is his or her style of thinking. Surprisingly, when individuals have supreme control over their thoughts, they have complete control over every other aspect of their life. People become architects of their own destiny by reshaping their thoughts and deeds on what they want and refusing to think or discuss what they don't look for. Among the 12 universal laws, the law of correspondence is an intriguing one. In fact, all 12 laws prepare the framework for understanding the prerequisites for achieving the meticulously planned objectives. As per the law of correspondence, the exterior environment is merely a reflection of the inner world. To put it another way, the current reality reflects the inner existence. If the outward world is unsatisfactory, it is a direct result of inner turmoil. Negative thoughts can cause a lot of stress and disruption in the outer human world. Even the outside of a tree reflects what is going on within the trunk. If it lacks appropriate food on the inside, it appears weak and slender. When someone is feeling down on the inside, it's easy to see the world through a negative lens. Consequently, the worse the outside world gets, the more horrible one will feel on the inside. People who want to improve their situation must start from the inside out. Transforming things on the outside won't help until the inside isn't properly addressed. All of the self-help courses emphasize internal development. It's far easier to place blame on others for individual issues. It's better to take accountability for them. People live on a planet where universal laws control every human activity. These universal laws are founded on the premise that the cosmos is made up of a galaxy of energy. Every concept, feeling, speech, and action people have is sourced from a stream of energy. To live in harmony with the universe and achieve what one wants, one must first comprehend how these fundamental principles regulate human lives. If people are conversant about the law of attraction, they can easily grasp the law of correspondence. This specific law states that whatever is on the inside must also be on the outside. In other words, the external environment reflects a person precisely as he is on the inside. The emotions, convictions, and feelings lying inside are mirrored in the outside. Friends, work, and current situation all mirror the particular person on the inside. Some individuals have a hard time understanding this concept. Most people blame others for their deeds, but the truth is that individuals alone are the creators of their situations. Suppose one has evil companions because they're the kind of people he deserves. These are the hard realities. People should make a wish list of the things they desire and the individuals they want to get along with. They want genuine love, nice friends, and wonderful relationships. The list is long. There are so many other things like decent careers, job promotion, increments, economic affluence, and so on. It's a glorious path to tread on, but one has to obtain everything in his turn using this list. It will be the same on the inside as well as on the outside. What one conceals on the inside mirrors is inherent in his outside world. It is the essence of the law of correspondence. The outside and the inside are identical. It also states that if people don't like the society where they belong, they have the freedom to alter it. Therefore, one needs to take a critical look at self and raise questions about what it is about him that attracts the relations and events into his life. This perpetual truth has brought the law of correspondence to the attention of the entire globe. Billions of people are desperate to understand the secret of the core inner self and outer self. So many people are astonished and delighted to discover the creative power of their own imaginations. On the other hand, some people are dissatisfied, even outraged by some of the intricacies of the divine teachings, labeling the concepts materialistic, mean-spirited, and wishful thinking. Some people seem to be looking for magic, while others are looking for the real spirit. The law of correspondence provides both. The law of correspondence is a well-known idea found in almost any religion and ancient wisdom literature. The interpretation of the law is that a specific pattern is woven throughout the universe. It's crystal clear that people normally don't mix up with their fellow associates if one looks around. The reason is there is always a conflict between inner and outer selves. So why is the law of correspondence referred to as a divine element? The individuals, on the whole, don't spend their time and energy empowering the masses. Instead, they ask them to explain the inner meaning of as above, so below, as within, so without, through education and wisdom. If one believes in patterns, anything is possible.